So the Supreme Court is hearing an interesting case that I'm actually somewhat split on. It's a case about a Muslim woman who was not hired by Abercrombie & Fitch because she wears a black headscarf, and that supposedly conflicts with the company's dress code. So reports from the court indicate that both liberal and conservative justices were aggressive in their questioning of Abercrombie's lawyer, and it looks like Abercrombie may lose. So here's the thing. This is my thought process on this. The first thing that comes to mind for me is you can't carve out special exemptions for religious people unless you're also going to grant the special exemptions for secular people also. I mean, this is something that people have a hard time grasping. That, you know, why is it okay that if a religious person gets hired at a job and they say, look, I know we're supposed to work Saturdays, but I can't work Saturdays because my religion mandates that I have to worship every Saturday and not work? Like, if somebody makes that argument, a business has to allow the person to take that day off, or else they're engaging in religious discrimination, and there could be a lawsuit. But then, if I step up to somebody as a secular person at the same job and I say, look, I'm going to be honest with you. I don't want to work Saturdays because I have a deeply held belief against working, say, 5 days a week. I think everybody should work only 4 days a week because we need that much rest in order to stay healthy and stay happy. So I'm telling you right now, I'm not going to work Saturdays because I have a deeply held belief against working Saturdays because I need that day off. So will you accommodate me? Well, they'll laugh you out of the room. They'll be like, of course not, you idiot. If you sign up here, you sign up for what the job is, and you got to work that day. So that double standard is a massive problem, in my opinion, and the overwhelming majority of people, especially so-called legal scholars in America and judges and justices, they don't see it. They don't buy into it. They think that the Constitution makes it so that you have to accommodate religion in that respect, but I think it's the exact opposite. I mean, the Constitution makes it so that we have a separation of church and state, and we have an establishment clause where the government cannot establish a religion, and you're supposed to be neutral on the issue of religion. You're not supposed to give them special favor, and you're not supposed to discriminate against them. So if you use the example like I gave of taking the Saturday off at work, to be neutral on that, to not give them, special treatment and to not discriminate against religions, you would have to say, no, you have to work that day just like all the secular people have to work that day because that's how I treat you equally. I think it's a 14th Amendment argument, right? The idea of equal protection under the law. If you're going to grant religious people special exemptions, then you should also grant it to secular people because you could have a deeply held secular belief. And why would the government say, hey, I'm not going to respect the secular one, I'll respect the religious one? So we've carved out this thing in law which is too kind to religion, and it bends over backwards for religion. It lets people get away with anything in the name of religion. We discussed on the show yesterday a story coming out of Idaho where so many children have died because of faith-healing parents. And there's an exemption under Idaho law which says you're allowed to not give your kids modern medicine if you don't give it to them on the basis of your faith. So you can literally, because of your actions, you can kill your kid and you don't face any jail time. Why? Because it was my religious belief. It was my faith. So I see the same thing at work here. Now, here's why I'm split on this, though. Because to me, the issue isn't, hey, for religious reasons, should she be able to wear the headscarf while she's at work? To me, the question is, well, should she essentially be able to wear what she wants to wear when she's at work? And that's a much more difficult question because you're essentially debating whether or not dress codes at work make sense and if they should be legal or if they're constitutional or unconstitutional. And I don't know the answer to that question. If you phrase the debate from the religious perspective, I would say, no, take off your hijab because me as a secular person, I could say, hey, look, Abercrombie, I want to work here, but I hate your shitty clothes, so I'm going to come dressed however I want. And they would fire me, right? They would say, you're fired. So I don't think that's any different. The hijab situation or the headscarf situation is any different from that situation. if she can wear whatever she wants on her head for religious reasons when she works there, then I, as a secular person, if I wanted a job there, I should be able to tell them, well, I don't want to wear your clothes. I'm going to dress how I want because I have a deeply held secular belief that I want to dress how I want. I don't want to wear your shitty clothes, and I want to work here. You see what I mean? So if you frame the issue as a religious issue, I rule against her, and I say, no, I'm not going to give you special exemptions for that. But if you frame it as just the secular issue of should somebody be allowed to wear what they want to wear when they're at work, and the business should not have control enough of you to tell you what you have to wear, there I don't know the answer. Because I really don't know if it's fair that any business, any private business, should have the right to tell you how to dress. Because it really does smack of like little tyrannies, right? And this is the Chomsky argument against capitalism, which he makes all the time, and he makes well, where he says, okay, so we live in a country that's not necessarily a fascist dictatorship, but when you go to work, you're at a fascist dictatorship. That's exactly what a business is. That's exactly how it functions. You have an owner. The owner is the fascist dictator. Then they have their minions underneath them, whether it's the CEO or the person who runs the business, the manager, whatever you want to call them. And then they call the shots, and they control pretty much every aspect of your life while you're at work, with only a handful of things that, they're not allowed to tell you to do, right? So they're all basically mini tyrannies, mini dictatorships when you work for a private company, because the boss can basically tell you anything minus a handful of things. So you have to do what they say. And so it's a much more interesting question. Should businesses be allowed to tell you how to dress? Should they be able to tell you have to wear this shirt, you have to wear a suit and tie, you have to wear our shitty clothes at Abercrombie, or whatever the case is? And on that issue, I don't know what the answer is. I really don't. Because I'm inclined, my freedom-loving side is inclined to come out where I say, fuck you. Like, so I work for you. What? So that means you own every aspect of my life when I'm on the clock at your business? That seems ridiculous. It seems like an idea left over from like the year 1400. Like, what a backwards way to run an economy. I'm renting myself on the labor market to you, my corporate overlord. And it's not just that I'm renting my labor, which is degrading enough, but then you get to tell me what I can and cannot wear. You get to tell me how to act and how to speak, and that seems like it crosses the line into infringing on civil liberties. So when I say to you guys, I genuinely don't know how I would rule in this case. I really don't. I don't know. So I'm asking you for your input, and I'm curious to see what you guys say as to whether or not she should be allowed to wear it. And you frame the issue however you want in your own mind. But like I said, the reason I'm split is if you view it from purely a religious perspective, does she have the religious right to wear the headscarf? I say no. Because then the secular people should be allowed to wear whatever they want in the name of secularism. But if you frame it as the other issue, all from a secular perspective of should any business be allowed to tell you what to wear at work, then I don't know. So what do you think?